So welcome back to French Ear Trumpet. My name's Colin. I've got a channel called French Countryside Life, and Andy has his own channel called AJ in France. Brilliant channel, go take a look. So this week we're going to discuss childhood then and now. I'm of an age, Andy's not quite of an age, and things have radically changed for children. Certainly from when I was younger, and I know that things have probably changed from the 20 years ago that Andy was a child.
20 years ago. Oh my God, yeah. Well, I guess the main thing is the differences we can notice. I mean, we're not kids anymore, so we don't really know what it's like to be kids anymore. But we were one once. Well, I think maybe I was. I'm not sure. And things are different now. Mainly like smartphones, social media. There's all sorts of stuff in play, and how the future is going to look with the current political climate, the global climate with the wars and stuff that are going on. I think I'm going to say this now, that I think certainly I've got to my age and lived in the most peaceful, economically sound era that has ever been, I think.
Yeah. I mean, certainly it's been the longest world peacetime, really, and the most financially successful times. I mean, when you think I was born in 1963, hard to believe, I know, but I was born in 1963.
Surely not.
Trust me, I'm a doctor. Which was only 45, 50, 18 years after the war, 39, 45.
So here's the thing. We were born closer to the end of World War II than we are now to when we were born. Both of us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So the things that went on in the time that we've been alive, if you then look backwards from when you were, sorry, I've gone off on a tangent now, haven't I? But
that's all right.
That never happens on the end, is it? Never happens. If you look back in the lifetime, you had the Second World War, you had the Holocaust, you had the Korean War as well. There's been 2 Gulf Wars that the West has been involved in, and then Afghanistan. But it's interesting that I was born that close to the end of the Second World War.
Yeah. Call me an old cynic, right? Call me an old cynic, but it just I get the feeling that the wars since probably Vietnam, the wars since that one have been more about money than politics or religion.
I think it's all intertwined. Well, maybe not religion. I mean, look at what's going on now. We all hate each other.
I know what you mean, but yeah, that's true enough. Yeah, but you just feel the hand of money behind it.
Possibly, certainly the Gulf Wars. I think the oil was a massive part of that. And I don't know. Then don't forget there was Libya as well. That got toppled, and Gaddafi was.
Well, I mean, that was all part of the Arab Spring, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. But there's one thing that amazes me, but nobody ever talks about what's going on in Africa. There's wars all over the place.
Of course there is.
Rwanda and the DRC, they're at war currently. There's not even one line of that on any news bulletin whatsoever. In fact, anything in Africa, nobody in the West is interested whatsoever. I mean, it's quite funny recently. Not funny. It's not the right turn of phrase. The Ukraine war, for example, just drops from the news very, very quickly. The news cycle now, and I think this comes back to the whole subject. We never had 24-hour news cycles.
No.
So
No,
you didn't have. Go on.
No, I was just going to say that really, I mean, every bit of news was at least 24 hours out of date, really, wasn't it? Certainly in the printed word, you know, in your newsprint, that was everything was pretty much 24 hours out of date, and I don't know, it just seems too easy to manipulate the news that you see now, because there's so much of it as well.
I think that's true with social media, but I think there's an appetite on the 20, like Sky News, BBC News, France 24. The France 24 is actually pretty good. I don't know if you
I do watch that actually. Yes,
yeah, I watch that as well. But certainly with the others, there's a appetite to refresh it and give it a new, like, introduce a new topic, because they're on all the time. It very quickly becomes out of date. Sorry, stale. It becomes stale. And growing up, we never really had that. Newspapers, I think, were the main source of news.
Yeah.
Not TV. TV you'd watch maybe in the evening. There was a 10 o'clock news, Trevor McDonald.
Trevor McDonald.
And then you had the new, was it 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock news as well? Those are the only two ones, because everyone was at work before that.
Yeah, actually, it does make you wonder whether we was all being manipulated then, but we just weren't as savvy as we are now.
How would we know? I mean, there's nobody back then would send you a video or a photo right from. Let's take, for instance, this. I'm sure you've read it in the news about this guy with a samurai sword.
Yeah. That was about 10 minutes from where we used to live.
Yeah, Hainault, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it's not too far. And then he's killed a 14-year-old allegedly. Allegedly killed a 14-year-old boy with a sword. And then you had people, by the time, before he was even arrested, you had people beaming that video that they were taking of the incident straight away, that people could view almost in real time.
I did wonder, watching that, because that was obviously from the main scene where the guy got tasered. That was obviously from a Ring doorbell or the equivalent. It makes you wonder how that got from that Ring doorbell to every screen everywhere.
So what happens is there's a number, a WhatsApp number or an email address for Sky or BBC, and you can just put that in and instantly send it to them instantly.
Yeah.
And they'll assess it and it will go out on their channel if they think they'll edit it maybe sometime. I mean, certainly in a circumstance like that, they might edit it to keep identification private, but it will go out straight away.
Yeah.
But it has to be verified, so they will have got maybe two sources of it and said, right, okay, we can release it. But yeah, it is instant, and we never used to have that.
No.
So I like you going back to what you were saying before. People, you could read the news or listen to the news or whatever. You've no way of verifying that. There's no information unless you see a video. Now it's all changed. It's all social media, really.
Yeah. I mean, just to drag it back to subject again, and away from the news, I think the whole change in the childhood in terms of technical gadgets and so on was, I was talking to Jane's granddaughter, Ellie, a few years ago now. And she was asking me what it was like in the old days.
The old days, yeah.
What was it like in the old days? I said, what do you mean? Go away. No, I didn't say that. I said, well, well, I was around when the very first computer games came out. Obviously, I was around before then, but when the equivalent of a computer game was a stick. Go play with a stick.
Yeah.
But,
stick and a hoop.
Yeah, but Yeah, no. So I said, yeah. So the very first computer game, I said that we had a line on the screen there that went up and down with a controller, and a line on the screen there that went up and down with a controller. It went up and down, and there was a ball that went. That was balls like that, and you had to block it. If you didn't, it went into the goal, and that was the point. And yeah, and she went, yeah. And then what? I said, no, that was it. That was it. That's what we did. She's like,
Yeah, yeah.
what?
So it's interesting you mentioned that. I reckon my dad, his generation, so I can't remember when he was born, but he was 83 when he died a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I
So
think
just
that generation has seen the biggest improvement in living standards because of technology
Yeah.
that we will ever see.
Yeah.
And it's also brought something else, which I often think about, is if you would have said to someone right back, when my dad was a teenager, in the future, you can have a phone where or this device where you can communicate with anyone on Earth, and you will have all the knowledge, the entire knowledge of the human race in your palm of your hand, and you can access it anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
He would have said no, he wouldn't believe it. He certainly wouldn't believe it. But conversely, now, whatever you say or whatever you come up with, I can believe it. So if you said to me, right, we're going to be teleporting between planets, I go, yeah, all right, it's going to be a long way off, but yeah, it might be possible. I don't know. We don't know. But I could actually envision it. But back then, if I told them about a mobile phone and described it, they would have said no.
Yeah.
I would never. No, I think it is.
Well, in this conversation with Ellie, it was I said to her, and of course we didn't have mobile phones. There was a phone in the house that you had to ask your mum to use, and it had a little dial that you press around and it went back. Like that. And I said when we wanted to go out with our mates, we'd go indoors, ask mum, can I use the phone? She'd go, yeah, go on in. So you'd pick up the phone because it had a bit of wire that went to the phone. You pick the phone up and you'd dial the number, and your mate's mum would pick the phone up. You say, can I speak to whoever? And you'd say, I'll see you there at 7.
Yeah.
Put the phone out. And then you go there at 7 and they'd be there. And then he said, so what would happen if plans had changed? I said, well, you go there at 7 and they wouldn't be there.
Yes, exactly.
So you then try and find the phone box, right? You try and find the phone box. You put your 2p in, right? And you'd phone them and you say, where are you? And they'd say, I'm not there. I said, I know that. And then you put the phone in, then you go home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And another thing as well, getting to that, you used to get home. I mean, this is probably the same. Well, it would have been the same for you. There must have been a time. In fact, I was reading a study recently, and the guy's some professor at Cambridge or whatever, and he said that the actual childhood went extinct in 2010. So that's when they no longer had an insulated, not insulated, that's the wrong word, but like a different childhood to the rest of their life.
Yeah.
So we used to live in a bubble, basically. So you'd go to school, you come home, you wouldn't know anything about world events or anything outside of your family unit or your friends. It's pretty much, it was like darkness. I mean, there'd be dragons, and you just weren't interested. So you go to school, come home, you go out, play with your mates. Your mum would say, dinner's at 6, make sure you're back at 6 or whatever. And then you just disappear with no communication devices.
That's it. No.
You didn't know what was going on, and you just expected back at 6.
Yeah,
and that was it. You could have been up to anything, and quite often you were.
Yeah. I remember getting clump around the side of the head from a policeman.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I got
so
brought home by a
it was
police.
a.
Yeah.
I must have been about 10, I suppose, and they was in the process of building this old people's home around the corner from us.
Building
And
sites.
yeah, and of course it was building site, fantastic. So there was a big pile of topsoil right next to where they was building this, and they hadn't put any windows in, and it was well, if you're American, 3 floors, but if you're not American, it's ground 1 and 2, which is curious, isn't it?
I
They
never
call the
gave it
ground
much thought.
first floor, didn't they?
Did they?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
There you go. Anyway, so yeah, so we'd be on like the top floor, and they hadn't put any windows in this thing yet, right? So we used to run across the inside of the building, jump out, like dive out the window, and land on this big pile of soft topsoil.
Yeah.
Madness. Madness. But yeah, anyway, so this pounder car turned up. I think it was like probably and Austin Allegro turned up, and these 2 coppers jumped out. Oh, you come here! So of course we did.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
That's another. We did, and he went, "See you, have some of that, and off."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went home, right? Because done that again. I went home. I had a big fat ear. Went home and I said to my mum, "Oh yeah, I just got a clamp from a policeman." She said, "What for?" I said, and I told her. She went, "Well, here's another one then."
Your mother is done then. I mean,
but,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. No problems with you. It made you lose all your hair, that. Anyway, I was something similar. I got taken home by a copper I noticed that the school in which I was had a swimming pool, but it was an outside one, and it was just a fiberglass dome over the top of it.
Right.
And I really fancied going swimming, but outside of school hours.
Yeah, of
and I noticed that during school time, I could leave the window unlocked and come back later and go for a swim.
Oh.
So that's exactly what happened, except when I got out of the pool, there's a copper waiting for me.
Yeah.
Right, come with me. Where'd you live?
I want a word with you.
That didn't go down very well at all.
Yeah.
In fact, that was terrible. So yeah, but that was in times when there was actually police, local bobbies, which you don't get nowadays. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is a big shame, really.
Yeah.
For most
people. And there was actual respect for the police.
Yeah.
To a certain, obviously, there's always been a section of society that didn't, but yeah, of course.
But generally speaking, the general population probably did respect the police, and at the same time, they probably had respect for politicians as well, which I don't think exists now at all.
I think there's very little respect at all for anyone, even for themselves. Even for people themselves, I don't think they respect themselves. A lot of people, just it's things have changed. Certainly, things have changed a lot.
I wonder why that is. Because if you look at things as a general rule, everything is better. As in, the healthcare, generally speaking, is, I'm not talking about short term, but long term, is increased to such a point now where things like you can live with AIDS for a normal lifespan now. You can, cancers are, there's 50% normally chance of you surviving cancer as well, because of early detection rates, new technology, new processes, new drugs, new treatments. I've read recently the new vaccine for certain types of cancers has been trialed as well.
I wonder whether it's because things are too easy.
There is a saying, isn't there, that bad times make hard people make good times. good times make soft people.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, but I don't, I wouldn't know. I just know that the state of things is slightly different now to when I was growing up. But there are some things that are good. I mean, we no longer get corporal punishment in schools, which I was just outside of, thank goodness.
I was in the thick of that, mate. I was in the thick
Yeah.
of it. Well, yeah.
I bet you got it as well, did you? You still got the marks?
Sorry, say again?
You still got the marks, have you?
All the mental marks.
Yeah. Well, some people, yeah.
I remember there was a German, not an actual German teacher, but a teacher of German, and he looked like Doc out of Back to the Future.
Oh, nice.
Seriously, yeah. He had this wild hair going on, and if you didn't pay attention, if he was at the back like talking, he used to launch the blackboard rubber at you, which was a block of wood.
Yeah.
It's a good 8-inch block of wood. If that had hit you, that would do some damage.
Yeah.
So either he was a really good shot, or he just didn't care. And
That's true.
I remember we had a for the games teacher, PE teacher. Mr. Edwards, his name was Welsh. There was always Welsh as well, PE teachers. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah. Every PE teacher I had was always Welsh. Oh. Anyway, Mr. Edwards, and Mr. Finch, also Welsh. Lunatics, complete lunatic. Mr. Finch used to line us up in the hallway, right? He used to line us up in the hall. Sorry, he used to line us up against the stage in the hall and kick footballs at us.
Wow. Can you can't imagine that sort of thing going on now, can you?
No, if he did that now, he'd be in prison, wouldn't
he? Yeah.
But yeah.
Obviously.
Different times.
Yeah. I think, generally speaking as well, going back to that you're safer now than you ever have been as well. It doesn't seem like it because on the news, going back to the news cycle, all bad news sells, good news doesn't.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the crimes and the crime statistics, generally overall, I'm going to have to discount the last few years because we're talking the UK as well here, by the way. Things are so different in the last couple of years, especially with health service and police and the lack of funding and stuff. But generally speaking, as a general trend, you're safer now than you ever have been.
I do wonder, whether because obviously that's statistics based, isn't it? Just wonder whether the things that we talk about went on back then, but just weren't recorded or weren't.
Most certainly.
Or now, because everything's recorded and logged, there's not any more crime. It's just recorded more.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And there's more evidence of it happening, and people are more likely to come forward now.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and challenge stuff if they don't think it's right. Whereas before there was certainly in the UK it's a stiff upper lip. You just got to put up with it and bottle your feelings up, and that'll do, kind of thing. And I don't think there is as much as that now. I think you're encouraged to come forward, either report more crime or go to the doctors if you don't feel well. Things like that. People are more. Yeah.
I wonder if that's because our parents grew up during the war.
Yeah, I have thought
that was sort of instilled in us. But the parents of children now are a result of the luxury that people have now.
The luxury. But there are some things now which are hard and a lot harder. Like I always maintain that my dad's generation seen the biggest change. My generation, and probably yours as well, had the biggest possibility for prosperity.
Yeah.
So you were growing up when house prices were quite low. Wages were on the increase. Money was almost free. I know when I bought my first flat, I could get 110% mortgage, and my flat in a town centre location in Harrogate was £36,000. And you could get that on a salary of less than £600 a month. They really didn't care. They were just shoveling money at you. This is pre the financial crash, obviously. But we had all those benefits. My dad started his own business, and he made a really good job of it, and it paid for his retirement, and my mum's as well. My mum worked equally as well, harder, obviously, because she had us to look after as well. But had that been now, it wouldn't have worked. The business wouldn't work. The internet is you go in. He had a showroom selling bathrooms. That wouldn't work with the internet now. It wouldn't work with business rates being 20 times what they were back then. It would never get off the ground, really. But they, that sort of generation. So we're talking 80s to maybe early 2000s. 2004, 5, something like that.
The early 80s are the Thatcher Reagan years, isn't it? I always think that legacies are something that takes at least 30 to 40 years to get settled into social history, and that I remember living through the Thatcher years, and if you was willing to work hard, you could do really well for yourself. But at the same time, it was a dog world. It was dog eat dog.
Oh yeah.
And it was made that way by the Thatcher market forces sort of politics.
Yep. Go on.
I was just going to say that in a way I was also a casualty of that as well, because I bought a flat in Tilbury in '89, and there was the crash just shortly after, and interest rates went up through the roof, up to 15.75% from about 4%, and I was doing 3 jobs just to pay the mortgage and put food on the table. That was. But
tough times. But it was. But you could. The ability to make the money was there. I mean,
if you wanted to work hard, you could do it.
The problem is, like you said, and you were quite right. It takes a long time for those policies to come to effect, and we are really suffering in the UK now from the right to buy scheme, which Margaret Thatcher brought on board, which has decimated social housing stocks. So rent prices go up, private rent prices go up, house prices are high because they can get high rent for them. So it prices normal people out of the market.
What was wrong about it was that they stopped the councils being able to use the money to build new houses. That was the issue. It wasn't the fact of enabling people to get onto the housing ladder, but it was stopping the councils building new houses with that money. That was the issue.
It actually sounds good. So if you've got an old house that's taking the money from the council to keep it maintained, if you can sell that off and buy 2 more brand new houses that don't need any maintenance, and you can house 2 families for the same money because it's in a less salubrious area, then that sounds great. But it was a specific policy that you couldn't use it, because they didn't want to pay for the council. They didn't want council houses, basically.
No.
But that was before the house prices then shot up to where they are now, and virtually nobody can get on the ladder, which I had the benefit of being able to do years ago, which was, you just couldn't do it now. I don't know how much you need now to buy a house in the south of England. It'd be insane.
Certainly when I bought that flat in Tilbury, I think it was 5 times your salary was your limit.
Nowhere near that. Even if it is now, it's still not good enough.
It has to be. Yeah, I mean, they must do lifetime mortgages.
Yeah,
50-year mortgages or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the future is going to hold for that. If I would not like to be growing up now. I mean, I really wouldn't. And the technology is as much as it helps, and we've talked about some of the good stuff, it's also a negative for people growing up now. You know, for example, if you're bullied at school or whatever, back in our days, as soon as 3:30, 4 o'clock, that's it, you're off. You wouldn't see those, and it was Friday night. You wouldn't see those people again till Monday.
No, that's it.
Yeah. You knew you had that evening and then the weekend, and then you're back to it on a Monday. But now it's 24/7. You could leave, and by the time you get home, you know, you're receiving the same sort of treatment on your mobile phone, and that's got to be really hard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter thinking about it. I mean, at the end, that's why kids, you know, do what they do about over that sort of stuff, which is awful.
But then you go onto social media, and you know, there's all sorts of crackpots on there. I mean, look at us too. Yeah. You know. But they will encourage you.
I'm very daring
kids, kids who are impressionable.
Yeah.
You know, these awful people seek them out and compound their problems. There's just so many pitfalls like that. I mean, the biggest threat that we had would be if you injured yourself and you couldn't get help quick enough.
Yeah.
You know, you're riding your bike or you fell off something, or you know, whatever.
One of my mum's favourite sayings was, "If you fall off that shed, break your legs, don't come running to me."
Yeah. Yes, exactly that. Exactly. I know, it's just the technology is a blessing and it's a curse in that respect.
Yeah. But I remember my granddad actually was, because I'm sure I told you, but my parents divorced when I was 5, and me and my brother went to live with me, mum and me, at my nan and granddad's. So we lived there till I was about 8, I suppose. And my granddad was proper old school. He had previously owned a commercial vehicle repairing company in Limehouse in East London.
Oh,
so he was,
out, mate. Yeah,
he was
that's my best.
Bless you. And
those Irish cockneys, eh?
Yeah, and so it was proper old school. So me and my brother was out in the garden playing with a dartboard and a set of darts. What could possibly go wrong there?
Oh no.
So rather than just put it up against the wall and throw darts at it, which is boring, isn't it? So my brother had me holding the dartboard at arm's length and running down the garden, so it was a moving target, and he'd throw darts at it.
Excellent.
Yeah, and anyway, so I'm holding this dartboard, running down the garden, and he threw this dart, and it landed right in the back of the hand, and it was sticking out the back of the hand, wobbling about. Of course, I'm like, ooh. So and it come right in, and so I went indoors, and my granddad was there, and I said, look, it's like that, wobbling about. He went, give it here, and I showed him. He pulled it out, went, there you go, tart, get back out in the garden.
Brilliant. Yeah, Can you imagine that now? You'd be straight down A&E for a 24-hour wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying something was happening. Having building work done at my parents' house, and we had a skip in the front garden. I said to my mum and dad, "Can I go play in the skip?" Yeah, of course you can.
Of course you can. There's any number of sharp objects in there that you can impale yourself on. No problem.
Well, as it happens, someone had chucked a mirror in there.
Of course.
And there was broken glass in there. And I sliced open my ankle, so we spent the afternoon in A&E getting that stitched up, which was easy.
Yeah, but I was well pleased with that, wasn't I?
Yeah, can I go play in the skip? Yeah, of course you can. It's just don't bother me. Just go get on with it.
Go play in the skip. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, but nowadays, so whenever I go back to the UK, I stay with friends who have kids ranging from 7 to 18 now. I think one of them, he's got his own channel, Robbie, over at 24/7 bricks, and he makes Star Wars models, and he's amazing what he makes.
I'm subscribed and watch his channel. It's brilliant.
Yeah, he's really good at it, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's definitely worth. I'm going to put a link in the description anyway.
Yeah, good job.
Because I didn't know, and this is a thing that, and I think Graham as well mentioned this. People actually watch on social media. Not two old blokes like us just chatting, but they actually watch people playing computer games, or they watch other people building Lego models. Not because they want to build the models themselves or finding out how to do it. They just want to watch. Like they just want to watch the computer games being played as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is a new thing that I not struggle with.
I know what you mean. Yeah, don't really see the point of it. Yeah.
Can you not? I mean, build the Lego models yourself?
Yeah, do it yourself. Yeah.
But no, they want to watch them.
Airfix models, actually, that was the thing, wasn't it? Certainly when
yeah, crikey.
me and my brother were kids, we used to make Airfix models, and the old Spitfires and Lancaster bombers and
I'd loads of those. Yeah,
aeroplanes, and then we'd get bits of cotton and bits of cotton and drawing pins, put them on the ceiling, so they was having a dogfight, and then get cotton wool.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Similar sort of things. I remember making those models as well. And then, But yeah, that's it nowadays. YouTube of making other stuff, and, fair play. If that's what people want to do, that's it. But I think kids don't play out as much.
No, they don't. No.
You don't see them in the streets.
That comes back to the point of what I was saying earlier about whether there's the same amount of danger, and we was just exposed to it, and we was lucky that we didn't get caught up in it when we was young, or there's more danger now. That's why that's why parents don't let kids play out, because there's more danger.
I don't think there is. I think everything actually says it's safer now. There's nothing that says it's more dangerous. And in fact, when you factor in mobiles, and you can track the location of your child, I guess, at any time, and you can you can ring them instantly. If you're worried, you just, right, that's it, I'll ring them on the phone. If they don't answer, then I can go to panic stations. But there is that facility now, but I don't know what it is. I remember years ago, this must be 2016 or maybe 2017. I went to a house to do a job, and this is in England, and the lady there had a couple of kids, both 10 years plus. She would not allow them to play in their own front garden because she thought something horrible would happen to them.
Yeah.
And that's their own front garden. And I just think, how have you been conditioned to get to that stage? Well, I mean, what information is there being? Because I can tell you right now, if a child went missing in the UK, along with these 24-hour news cycles, it would be all over the TV, the internet, TikTok, YouTube within seconds. And it doesn't happen. It very rarely happens.
Yeah.
And in a population of 70 million people, roughly, you very rarely see it on the TV. So the chances of that actually happen are so slim.
Yeah.
And when it does happen, if you discount the times it's all family members or people who know them, it's almost not worth. You can't even measure it, really.
No. I don't know. I was just thinking, the majority of injuries that I got when I was a child was mostly from jumping off the things.
Yeah.
So I remember there were some advertising hoardings around the corner, and from where we lived, at the crossroads at the Cherry Tree in Raynham, and someone had dumped a load of old mattresses behind them.
Brilliant.
That's perfect, isn't it? So these advertising, they're proper full-size advertising, so they're probably, I don't know what, 10 meters off the floor from the top. Yeah, easily 10 meters. And we jumped off the top and landed on the mattresses, and everything was all right. And I remember jumping off, and my knee come up under my chin, and I bit my lip. I took a big divot out my lip. And yeah, but yeah, I don't know whether kids do those things these days. You know, whether they go out and jump across rivers. And I remember trying to jump a stream on a push bike, not understanding the physics that's
involved
in it. That when the opposite bank is higher,
yeah,
you can't jump up. And just slamming into the opposite bank, going over the handlebars, and ended up on my back with all my knees done in because I hit my knees on the handlebars, and looking around hoping that my mates saw it because it was epic.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't. I don't know whether I don't think they do play out and do that stuff. I don't know of anyone that does. I know people's kids, I'm not sure. They might play in the garden, but they certainly don't go out around the streets and like we used to do and go down the river or the forest or whatever.
Yeah, knock down ginger. Did you ever play knock down ginger? Yeah. I don't know what it's called in different parts of the world or different parts of the UK even, but knock down ginger, go and knock on someone's door and run away.
Yeah.
And you know,
with Ring doorbells now though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it now. So that's another one. Yeah. But I remember that we used to be out all the time, as late as possible.
Bloody kids.
Yeah. But it was all, you could say, innocent fun, really, can't you?
Yeah.
But I don't know. The kids I see now, they just come home, go straight to their room, headset on, playing a computer game.
Yeah.
And they can sit like that for hours until dinner's ready and then go back up afterwards.
Yeah.
They don't really go out.
What do you think that's going to mean for those kids when they grow up as adults and have children of their own? What do you think that's going to, or, you know, how do you think that's going to affect their personality when they become adults?
I think people will struggle to interact. And I'll tell you a story. I was training somebody once, and we were walking down the street, and I said to them, all you got to do, the next person we see, is just say, good morning, how are you? What are you doing today? And that's all you have to do. And this guy couldn't do it. He literally couldn't interact. He was so nervous to interact with a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And he really struggled, and he was quite young at the time, so he must have been 20, and I was about early mid-30s. So the difference was there then, and it wasn't just him; it was a lot of them that I was training that were all similar to that. They just couldn't interact normally with people, and I don't even think most people don't even do phone calls now. It's voice messages or text. So if you think about it now, you don't really have to interact with anyone at all. It's nearly all done by emails, texts, voice messages, or online on a game or whatever. But you don't. What do they call it? Soft skills, interaction, just generally.
Right. Yeah.
Interacting. I think that's lacking a lot now. And I think, going back to your question, it'll make things harder. But then if the whole society's like that, is that just where it's going?
That'll just become normal. Yeah. Just to drag the video kicking and screaming back to something French. Someone said to me that French children stay children for a lot longer.
Right.
That they do play out. They do. I don't know whether they're protected a bit more from, the technology side of it, and, children are just children for longer.
That's interesting you say that. I mean, my brother has a daughter who's now, which is going to be 4 this year, and for the first, I don't know, I mean, first couple of years maybe of her life, they wouldn't show her any screens, no phones, no TV, no nothing like that.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's 50% because my brother's completely crackers, and 50% that's maybe what they decide to do now to try and keep them away from the screens.
Yeah.
Now, whatever your take is on that, it's quite different, but it was acceptable and amongst their friend group. Was, yeah, that's what we do. That's how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So there is that, which I thought was quite different. Whether it would be like that if he ever has a second child, I don't know. But because the first one's always different, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they are different in France. It's just something I don't know. I couldn't say.
Yeah, but to sum up, I think what you said right at the very beginning, I think we was very, very lucky to grow up when we did, and you know, to have the opportunities that were given to us, and we was at the dawn of a new age, really.
I think you're right.
Technology, you know, when you think that the Concorde was that 1967, wasn't it, the first flight? 67, I think.
It was just before the moon. It was before the moon landings.
Yeah, so that's 69, wasn't it? So yeah, so I think it was 67.
Yeah.
You know, that's what 50 years ago. You know, they were just starting supersonic passenger flight, and nothing's really happened since, has it? In terms of that, but but as I say, just to say that I think we was very lucky that we grew up when we did.
What do you think? I mean, I've got another idea for another video, which I'll speak to you about shortly. But what do you think the future is going to look like now? From now, I mean, things are obviously harder in some respects, easier than others, and by that I mean the world situation and how do you see that going now?
Yeah, so I think you've got to look at movies. Actually, we're both big movie buffs, aren't we?
Right. Just before we go there, that's something no one nowadays will ever appreciate, is going down to Blockbusters and looking through the shelves and getting Predator, but then realizing you're only 15 years old and it's an 18, and you're like, who can I get to come and get this video? We used to send my nan, bless her, down to the video shop.
She was a big Schwarzenegger fan, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. Things like Predator or Terminator and stuff like that. Yeah. My nan would be going up to the counter with a little trolley. Can I have the guy down the counter going, what?
Really?
On here? Yeah, I remember that was brilliant. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, and then having to go and post the video back or hand it in and you get stamped in and brilliant. And nowadays it's all instant online, isn't it?
It's all streamed, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, going back to what you were saying, I'll let you carry on.
So as I said, you know, we're both movie buffs, and I think you've got to look at what's going to be coming by what they've put into film. So if you go back in time and you look at Star Trek, for instance, right, and it's something that you probably never even thought of, right? When you walk up to a door and the door slides away in Star Trek and it comes back.
Yeah.
Right. At the time, that was incredible. You walk up to a door and it slides out of the way because it knows you're there, and when you come through, it shuts behind you. That was science fiction.
Yeah.
And now, if you walk up to a door and it doesn't open, you know, in a shop or something, you think there's something wrong. But what's going on here?
I've got to open it. My God.
What, with my hand?
And also in Star Trek as well. So you had them on the planet and they'd get this device out and they'd flip the top and they could communicate with the ship.
Communicators, yeah. It's what we got now.
Well, exactly. And it was like a Motorola flip top phone.
And moving moving on to that, to fairly recent times, there was a Tom Cruise film, which I'm sure you know, is the Minority Report.
Yep.
And part of that was retinal image recognition. So the advertising was directed directly at the individual as they're moving around town, because their retinal image was read. So they'd walk towards a poster, and there'd be a scanner that would see them and scan the retina and change the advert to suit them. So that's, to a certain degree, that's already happening. So I mean, how many times?
Yeah, of course.
Have you've been even thinking about something, and then it comes up as an advert on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere, So that's already happening, and that's quite insidious, really.
Yeah.
So in terms of your socials, it's going to become more and more insidious into your life that adverts are going to be personalised to you. That's going to happen.
Well, we've actually seen a case of this where it's been used for nefarious purposes. During the Brexit scenario, they had the Cambridge Analytica
That's right, yeah.
targeted those people who were not people who definitely wanted to leave or people who definitely wanted to remain. They weren't interested in any of those, but there was those people in the middle that didn't know which way to go. So by bombarding them in the last few days on their social media, it's put it in their mind that this is the way that that they wanted to vote. And I've read that a couple of times, and it's there's an inquiry ongoing about it as well. But it's used to change or shape the direction of not just one person, but a whole country.
Yeah. So I mean, that's coming. But in terms of world events, I think we're at the most dangerous time since the Second World War.
I agree.
You've got proxy wars all over the place between the superpowers. You've got the potential for dramas with the expansion of the Chinese empire, if you like, into Taiwan, which has got strategic implications for the US if they lose Taiwan. And you got Russia wanting to almost to reform the USSR. So yes, it's a dangerous time, and as I said right at the beginning of this, at the root of all that just seems to be money.
Money and power, I guess. They go hand in hand anyway.
Of course they do, yeah.
I mean, because Putin's not short of a bob or two, but
I think he's doing all right.
Yeah, but yet he still wants to invade Ukraine for an ideological reason. And I heard, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy called Tim Harford. No. He's big into statistics. He writes for the Financial Times, I think. And he has a podcast and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, Putin, he's not short of a bob or two, as we were saying, but ideologically, he wants to take over Ukraine. And Tim Harford was stating that COVID had a lot to do with it. And the short version is, there was a couple of years where he just kept himself inside a bunker, and you see them ridiculous pictures of him with a table that's 30 feet long. And all he had to do was sit in a bunker with his own self thinking. And he's obviously wound himself up while he's been in COVID about Ukraine and the loss of the USSR and all that sort of stuff. So he's decided once he's got out of COVID, he's going to assemble the army and invade Ukraine and start there. And he actually, well, we can discuss this on another one, but he used the same tactics in the Ukraine as Hitler used to take over Czech Republic, or Czechoslovakia as it was, back in the day. Exactly the same military tactics were used. Very interesting read. And yeah, so I don't know where it's going to go, and I think that we're going to have that as a subject for one of our episodes, the future and how close we are to war and what would happen after that, because we both read a book recently that we quite liked, haven't we?
Yeah, God, yeah. Could put it down as
Frightening,
fascinating yet terrifying at the same time. So I think we'll cover that
when we get to it. Yeah, that'd be really, really interesting. But yeah, I think you're right. My dad probably saw the biggest technological advantage. I've probably seen, and you have probably seen the best economic situation that you could possibly get.
Yeah.
Especially 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Money was there. I remember my job at the time, they were just throwing money out. You know, literally, anyone want to work overtime? Yeah, right. You can work 4 hours extra every day this week.
Yeah.
All 5 of you.
I mean, there was that Harry Enfield character, wasn't it, on Saturday Night Live? Loads of money. It was a plasterer, wasn't he? Loads of money.
Yeah, but I think that was the age. Yeah.
Want to see my wad? Loads of money.
He did another one, didn't he? Where he's pouncing around and he would say, "I'm considerably richer than you." Do you remember that one?
Yeah, he did. Tim nice bit dim as well, didn't he?
That was brilliant. Yeah. You don't see those TV shows. We should do an episode on old TV shows.
Old TV shows. Yeah, I still think that the comedy genius that was in the Fast Show.
Yeah.
Every character, actually, it's a bit like one of Robbie's videos. There was a catchphrase every 2 minutes, wasn't it?
That's it.
And it's just genius.
Who's the eco warrior guy? Dave. Yeah. Anyway, this sounds an awful lot like a tangent to me.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're probably coming up on around almost 50 minutes ish, I guess, somewhere around there. But yeah, just an interesting chat on. Yeah, an interesting chat on how different things are now. Would you prefer to grow up as you did, or would you prefer to grow up now with all the technology and stuff you've got now?
I remember playing over the park on my bike with my mates, climbing trees, setting grass on fire, and then stamping it out. That was brilliant. And yeah, just it was. I was very lucky to have the childhood that I did.
So you prefer you if you had to do it again? So then would you still do the same?
Definitely.
Childhood.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to do it like they're doing now.
No, you can keep that.
Yeah, I agree. And we're lucky because we get best of both. Got best of both. So we had that childhood, but then we saw the invention and the introduction of all this technology. And providing you keep on top of it, you can keep up with it as well. So we literally got the best
of both worlds. Yeah.
And I don't think it'll ever be like that again. I think we're literally so lucky to grow up when we did. That's probably the summary of the whole episode.
Yeah. I was just gonna say actually, but then the thing with inventions is that someone thought of it first. So there'll be things coming that no one's thought of at the moment.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say something really stupid now. It's hard to think what they would be.
Well, yeah. I'll rest my case, Your Honour.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh well, there you go. Who knows what the future may bring?
Yeah.
So I think if you're happy, we'll end it here. I'll process it. But if you're still watching, well done. And if you've got any questions or you want us to discuss a particular topic, we can almost 100% guarantee that we might possibly do it for the first 5 minutes and then go off on some kind of strange tangent.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover it at some point. So
put a note in the comments and we'll let you know if we can do it.
So thank you so much for watching. And if you'd like to give the video a thumbs up and maybe share it on your social medias that we've just been talking about. Don't forget to press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content, and maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. We're on 186 subscribers. Well, actually, I think it's gone down one, is it?
Is it? Yeah,
so yeah, 180 something subscribers. So it would be lovely if you could all subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And as they say, all that leaves to say is it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.